All right, let's get this thing going. Glad to see everybody joining in. Josh, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Awesome. So this is usually a one newsletter time, and Tiki had asked us to jump on in today and do an AMA, so I thought we'd just jump on in and see how everybody's been doing.
Jim.
GM. Sorry, I'm switching headphones real quick. Hopefully this doesn't screw anything up.
Let's see. Are you switched? Caw.
My mic went off. That's what happened.
Oh, okay.
Cool. It's great to see all these old faces, man. Got
Yeah,
Eric
no doubt.
here, Jay Marie, got Song on here. Got somebody named Sheila. I don't know who that is.
We haven't done an X Space in
Yes.
a while because we keep doing the Steam Yard across all the socials. So it's been a while since we did an actual X
For
Space.
sure. And we've been super busy. So
Yeah.
how about you? We do have a laundry list of AMAs. So I've also got my computer open here. If you guys have questions, go ahead and ask us the questions in this. You can ask us the questions in the actual comments of the space itself. I'll try to get to them. We do have a handful, and then Josh and I are notorious for kind of going off script and just talking and talking. So you know, raise your hand. There's probably also another. There's also another time where it's like, hey, if you don't have a profile picture, there's probably not a good chance that I'm going to call on you. So, because last time we did that, it's just some guy making farting noises, which is not a great time. So, why don't you start us off, Josh? Just kind of tell everybody what we've been up to and some of the bigger things we've been doing.
Um, yeah, I think the biggest, most positive message is we haven't had to write a long Twitter post about how we're shutting down operations. We're still here and actually doing quite well. We just recently closed a multiple $1 million contract, which is fantastic and yeah, extremely helpful. Have some NDAs around it, so we can't talk specifics, but extremely positive for the company and
Yeah,
longevity and opening up other opportunities that are kind of some of those are already in the works too. That one's
and I'll go
more.
ahead and let me jump in real quick too and
Yeah.
say like Josh saying that like we're not making any long Twitter posts about shutting down. That's not a shot at any of the other projects.
No, it's just that's the state of
It's
the
just it's a State
of
of the Union, man.
state of the
Not
union. I
just
mean, it's
Cardano,
it's
not just
yeah,
Cardano, dude.
100%, man.
Like
Yeah,
people have no idea. It's like, man, we used to talk to some of the biggest projects, like companies that raise like hundreds of millions of dollars, right? Who are just
yeah,
gone,
yeah,
right? I mean, even L1s and stuff that just like we've seen like person after person get laid off. And I mean, about once a week, somebody's calling me from like an L1 or a massive project asking for a job. It's been wild, man. Like, so anyway, all that being said, Joss wasn't taking any cheap shots at anybody. Like all those guys, like a lot of those guys we're friends with. Super sad when these things don't work out for him.
yeah. Yeah, totally. It's definitely not a shot at anybody. It's just if you've been here a while, it's you see it kind of happen. It's just
Yeah.
crypto's up, crypto's down. Right now, it's not in a great spot, but nice thing is blockchain's not going away. It's kind of the whole point of it, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so very happy to be here, thankful, and yeah, thankful with the way things are going. Launching a bunch of new products and projects as well. Lots of different integration points with Stuff Token. Yeah, I don't know where you want to start. If you just want to go through questions and we'll just kind of let things maybe
Yeah.
surface as we
Let's
go.
just, I'm going to go through some of these questions.
Okay.
Obviously, like I said, if you're on here, like jump into the post for the space itself and leave a comment if you want us to try to get to it. We have like 15 questions here. And so we'll get through those. And I'm sure, again, it's Josh and I. So He'll say something or I'll say something. We'll probably jump down a tangent or stay on our soapbox for 20 minutes. So you want to
Sure.
ask a question, obviously, again, you can also raise your hand, but in the event that you don't have a profile picture, don't waste your time. All right. So, first question: when L2? What's the timeline for that? And there was something about other two chains that was mentioned we were going to add. So, kind of less. I think the real question is like, is L2 still a thing, and what's the timeline on it?
Yeah. So, a little background on that. Why would we even need an L2? So, that's kind of, what should always be,
Hmm.
I think, central question to all these things, right? Is kind of the why and not the rush to just go build something. So, um, the the need for us is that when we're shipping media around, especially, a lot of times people like to sell books or movies, for 99 cents or something. We can't be paying large fees to, so I'll just take Cardano as example, since we have a lot of stuff on Cardano, right? We pay a fee to mint that, mint and create that item. We pay a fee to ship that item, right? So again, what the exact math is, but let's just say roughly maybe it costs us, I don't know, let's say all in on fees right now at the price of Cardano, it costs us 30 cents, right? Which is a huge, percentage if we're trying to sell something and it's maybe 99 cents at some point, right?
Yeah.
So, not that we're selling a lot of stuff at 99 cents right now, but thinking out in the future, right? Which is like why we were thinking about the L2 in general, right? And that's at the price of Cardano right now, right? Hopefully Cardano bounces back and, we're back at like $1 or something, or,
Yeah.
or all time high or something, right? So
I'm
it's
pretty.
kind of a problem.
I read a Twitter post today that said it's going to 30. So I just want to let you know
So yeah,
that they're.
perfect example, right? So yeah, so if it goes back to 30, right, then a 99-cent item that we sold, there's 60 cents in fees, right? Which is kind of
Yeah.
crazy. Like it's not sustainable, right? So that's
Yeah.
the reason why we need an L2, is so that we can cost control some of those transactions, and then also like we do, with our promotional system, we do a lot of things that can be given away as well, right? So those things are, exceedingly cost prohibitive if somebody's trying to give something away, but they have to pay 60 cents in just fees every time that something happens, right? And so obviously more
We've had
expensive on Ethereum.
we've had like, and just a side note, we've had
Yeah.
like major Cardano entities who are scared away from giveaways because they don't like the fees of their own chain.
Yeah,
So
that's a good way to say it. Yeah.
there you go. Right?
Um,
Like, it's
yeah.
too expensive. You can't. Again, you know, you wouldn't pay, you know, $1 for something if the fees to get it were a third of that. It just
Yeah.
really comes down to it.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. That's why. So anyway, so we'd announced we're doing an L2 at some point. I can't remember when that was, maybe a year ago or something. And
It
then
was two decades ago, if I remember
two
correctly.
decades ago in crypto and AI time,
Yeah.
and then we hired a team who was actively building that for us, and we had paid them money to do such work. And that team disbanded publicly too. So, great guys, just things didn't work out,
Yeah.
and so that's that,
And
right? So,
once again, this is not us throwing shade at anybody.
no, this is
We
just
like a
history. Yeah,
lot of these dudes, right? Like, we're just,
yeah,
this is
totally.
where we're at, you know?
So now the where we are, right, and looking through things and trying some other, several other kind of side projects we have that we're running that are there's more experimental kind of playground AI type things to test things out, which I think is one of the great things about AI is like we're kind of free to go test models and do things that we wouldn't just inject into the main project, but we can go test them out. So, one of those tests, um, uh, that I played around with. I launched a site called Cabal, and it's basically like agentic trading. And I created a token for it. It's a base token, and the way it works, kind of in general, is like you can connect if you have an agent, you can connect an agent to it. It posts like what trading information it's making. It essentially drives like this credit score, and then it loops back through in a 24-hour increment and pays all the agents that are connected. And I kind of did it as an experiment, haven't put a whole lot of time into it since I launched it and kind of got what I wanted out of it, at least as far as like just playing with some things and understanding. Anyway, had gone down a path of like, how could we distribute a lot of tokens daily? So there's like 6,000 or so, maybe close to 7,000 agents on there posting stuff, and it's paying out these things daily. So I was sort of using it as a model of like how we could model consume to earn and like what the different price, what that would look like from us sort of institutionally, like having to pay those things out and move those things, right? So on a pure L1 like a Cardano, if we were having to pay out to all of the which I obviously have way more registered users on Stuff.io and Book.io than we do on this little agent side project. It would be very, very, very expensive to every 4 hours pay and ship stuff token around, right? Which we could do that in a lot of different ways. Like we could do it almost like in a 30-day reward cycle. There's a bunch of different options there, right? But at the end of it, right, what it still becomes apparent is the ideal solution here is that we operate, which is kind of what Ben and I have been talking about more recently, is like, hey, maybe it's not just an L2, because we talked about an L2. Oh, and I should have said too that token that I was doing that agentic thing on was Base, because it is by far and away like the cheapest and maybe one of the most efficient ways to deliver token, which we do have stuff token on Base. Like we have a bridge, we built that, I don't know, like 2 years ago or something. And probably over time, you're going to see us migrating more of our token liquidity and distribution over to Base, because it's just faster and cheaper, really. I mean, it's really what it comes down to, right? It's faster and cheaper. So as a company, right, we look at it in terms of, okay, if this was, I'm deciding between, shipping something FedEx or UPS or using the US Postal Service, these things have different costs and different timelines. And if I can get something somewhere faster and cheaper for a company, then that's better, right? So from an L2 perspective then, right, because we are all token holders ourselves, is, we want to have a system where we can control those fees. Those fees are paid and stuff. So that could either, look like, and, there's lots of discussion still kind of going on around this, but, as far as whether that becomes an L2 or whether we just maybe want to possibly, one thing we've been talking about is, considering, what if we built an L1 that was specific for media and it operated with stuff token. So we haven't made it like final decisions around it, because we have lots of conversations about these things a lot. But at the end of the day, it's like we need fast and we need cheap and we need to be able to control costs. And so, the parameters that exist and matching a solution to what facilitates that. Maybe it's an L2, maybe it's an L1, maybe it's an L1 with our own L2 instances, and or it could be a fork of something. There's obviously there's tons of different ways that you can kind of go about that. But yeah,
I'll jump in real quick too. If you're late to this call, like one of the things we started off with is we just got done signing a multi-million-dollar deal that we can't necessarily talk about because we're under NDAs, right? So that's what we've been working on. I don't think it's we can't say that it's in the publishing space, right? And some of these things too, when Josh is talking about L1s and L2s, is going back to like we still have like a couple other conversations with like huge companies, right? And we're kind of seeing where those are going to play out before we make any of these final decisions.
Yeah.
Right. On like, exactly with these media companies and or, large, I guess some of them would be like nonprofits, like exactly how we would structure things. So we're trying not to like go down a path and then have to back up. Mind you, also like the team has been fully working on getting some of this work done that we were promised and signed a contract for. So
yeah, honestly,
and again,
I think it's a good parallel too of where we're at as far as a company, right? Of like, I think it is not not to put blame on anybody, but like I think what we've tried to do, in general, is like see what's happening, try to kind of adapt to that thing, right? As opposed to saying, hey, this is the solution and you have to use it, is like trying to step back and say, what's needed, and how do we fulfill a customer need and provide something that does that thing, right? So as opposed to, quite honestly, like, I don't know, like 90% of all the crypto projects out there that like were like, hey, it'd be really cool if you could do this, and then they do something, but there was never really like a product market fit, right? It was a cool thing technically, and it was more of a like, what if we could do this and we could do it, but there wasn't really like
Totally.
huge customer demand. And so for us, it's like, well, we don't want to rush out and be like, which we did have some idea about how we were going to use the L2, and we do have obviously like we've launched thousands of things, and like we have like a pretty good depth of knowledge about what we want to do, and like, but at the same time, there's still some unknowns and there's still some big opportunities. Kind of to your point, right? It's like so it's sort of how we manage the company too, and like I think a lot of the reason why we're still here is the same exact reason in parallel of why we haven't just like rushed to like put out an L2 and like show our token. It's like we need to do this in the right way for the right reason and have it fulfill the right solution set, right? So we haven't prioritized it as far as like, hey, building an L2 is our number one priority right now because we do already exist on whatever, like 5 or 6 different blockchains. So we could facilitate things already. It's just the ideal version is like, hey, could we do this faster and cheaper? And
Yeah.
yes, we can, but it takes a big investment to get there,
Sure. Okay. Want to keep going?
Sure.
Which things are paused until the L2 is out, e.g., secondary marketplace? I mean, I don't know if like any of those things were ever based on like
Yeah,
the
I don't think they're based
L2.
on the L2, no. I mean, we did some work around the secondary store already, and we actually built out like a stuff.store, but I think we turned off access to it. But we just
Yeah,
haven't swept back to it, right? Like there's, obviously JPEG store bounce, but there's not that much happening secondary
yeah,
anyway. And there's other solutions that exist out there, right? So it's like,
for sure.
why go
And I and, and
recreate it right now?
I also think, and again, because of some of the other conversations that we have, and some of those conversations that you're even having next week, right?
Yeah,
Like having a secondary store that's like based off of some type of cryptocurrency, I just think that like, that's just not what the public is asking for, right? Like I think people understand digital ownership and they understand, their fiat dollars, but converting things into ADA and like going to a secondary store, I just think that like, majority of people are just never going to do that, right? So us making it like, USD first has always kind of been the priority. Now, again,
yeah,
because of the current state of crypto, it's not like, you know, like anybody's super rushing to go over to figure this out. I know the boys at like Way Up have like trying to fill the space of like JPEG Store. And I'd like to say, take this time to say, like, I loved everybody at JPEG Store, man. What a great team. Like,
oh gosh, yeah, great guys.
miss talking to those guys, and like, dude,
Yep.
they had some really freaking great developers and business people on their team,
Yeah.
and they held on as long as they possibly could. Like,
Well,
like
I just looked it up
way
too. It was
further
like,
than what people think. That like one of the things I think that people don't understand, and like Cash had that post this last weekend, right? Of like what some of these guys actually did and like what they um some of the things that they personally had to endure to try to be here was like
yeah,
pretty crazy. Like, so
no, that's true. Yeah,
don't go yelling at founders. These guys are trying their asses off.
yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
All right, let's just keep going. Is token buyback and burn linked to the L2 being released? A lot of L2 questions, man.
I know. No, the token burn, like we kicked off like I don't know, like a year ago or something, maybe, or
Yeah, it's still
some
going.
good long time ago, and that happens automatically at every epic. So, it has nothing to do with the L2, the buyback stuff too. Like we are actually about to kick off a buyback program. I don't know how public we'll be about that. Like we're just going to be buying, or our token is a low price and we think it's a good deal, so we're going to be buying it. So if you see some green bars, that might be us.
I also
It
think
might not
like,
be. We're not going to like try and
and we can
make a
talk about
public
how
stone on it.
like I think some of it is like we can talk about how like, hey, we're getting ready to do print books. Like we talked about like the 12 million print books
Yep.
that we're ingesting. But if you're asking me to like disclose to you like, hey, this is the exact specific time that we're going to like be doing these token buys, like that's just not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Because then it's just going to set things up for people trying to game the system, and we're just not going to do that. So you'll see buys happening. Maybe you'll know it's us. Maybe you won't.
Yeah.
right? And as things get bigger and bigger, then we'll figure out how to eventually come out and say this is the total amount that we bought, but we need that token in order to deliver it to people when they're buying, print books, and then eventually is consumed earned for digital.
Yeah. True. True. True.
Um, is token utilities still the same as white paper, considering enterprise product won't use it? Will they even use the L2? So is the token utility still the same as white paper? I think that's the real
I don't think
question.
anything's changed utility wise as far as
Yeah.
the function of the system. Not that I can think of. I think
I
we'll probably
I mean
lean
it,
heavier into the loyalty side of things, just because it's easier for the mass market to understand. American Airlines, airline points or credit card points. You know,
right.
from a narrative standpoint, I think functionally, like it would still function as far when we launch an L2, it's kind of
Yeah, I
somewhat
mean,
of the purpose of it.
like even with the white paper, probably didn't have any mention of like, print books or anything. So in that regard, yes, like there's some things, right? But it's just like, hey, as people buy print books, we'll give them a portion back and stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah,
So
I
I
don't
mean,
think we
that might be
mentioned it. Yeah,
different, but
yeah.
like I don't think, when we talk about um, you know, all
I
the
think
other
we're always
things
looking
and
to
us.
add stuff.
Yeah, and I think the other thing I would say is we're looking to add things and we're also looking to simplify things, right? Like even some of the other things that like other, apps and stuff that we're looking to use, like we want to use stuff as a loyalty token there, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and we're not going to dive down deep into those things until we launch them. But like, the whole point is like continuing giving like stuff token more and more utility long term.
yeah.
And again, like it's not like we'd like to be moving faster than we are, but like this is the market that we're in, right? Like
Yeah.
things had to change when everything, when the bear market lasted way, way longer than everybody thought. So
Sure.
all right. What happened to the ambassador program?
Yeah, what did happen to that? I think I think we started it and had maybe lightly appointed somebody to kind of run it, and then never really.
I think
Well,
it's just like
that's a
we've
good
just been
question.
super, super
Yeah,
busy,
yeah, it's
man.
one of like a thousand things.
Yeah, and I think, for us, like maybe we need to be a little bit more like, hey, when we do these things, we just need to be like, hey, either get somebody in on it to like help us, right? I think some of it too is, really the push into like print books and then, digital books too, right? Is like I really wish everybody could have been with us on all these conversations about digital ownership with like some of the biggest like law firms and publishers in the world, right? Like a lot of it we were not going to get them across the line, period, right? And so now the goal is like go back and like let's build this giant bookstore. We need a lot of content and a lot of things to sell for a good ambassador program. That's basically it, right? Like otherwise, what are you ambassador for?
Well, I
So I
mean, part of
think
it too, I think, from the investor side is like we're not going to a whole bunch of crypto shows, right? Like part of the
yeah,
purpose of the investor is not just the business side; it's just that,
yeah,
hey, it would be nice, right, to have people go to these shows and we don't have to go. But like, at the same time, it's just like a lot of these shows are just kind of not what they used to be, right? So we're
yeah.
not really attending a whole lot of them like we have in the past. So we don't necessarily have a large need to have people go represent us if we're not really going to have a presence there, because it's just
Well, it's also tough
you
because
know
then it's like even the things that we do go to, whether it's to be in like books or music or whatever these conferences, right? Like we kind of need somebody more than an ambassador, right? Like it's got to be somebody who knows our business. Like it's got to be somebody that works for us, right? So that's the other thing.
true. Yeah.
Whatever happened to Mint and Print?
I think that's all still there. We just were, functionally what some of that got caught up on was probably two things. One is there's a requirement for us to create those printable files, which we were doing, and I think we did for a good number of books. We just never launched them in mint and print. But the other side of that was like we really wanted to get international shipping all working, and I think we got most of that done. But then some other priority came up, and we deprioritized it. So it just I was all things happen in a startup. You're constantly evaluating like
Yeah.
what's the next highest priority, and you meet next week and all of a sudden priorities change because market conditions or
Yeah.
projects, or it's just it's not like we canceled it or we're like, hey, we'll
Yeah.
never do this again. It's just like right now it's not top priority.
Yeah, and I think, some of it too was when we launched it was probably further out than when we wanted, right? And so sales weren't as great as we wanted, right? And I was actually just looking at my Dracula book the other night and I was like, man, that's like now it's super, super rare.
Yeah, yeah.
So personally, I was like, I don't know. I still think it's cool, right? And I still think there's a lot of conversations around it. I think it'll evolve with time.
Yeah.
What happened to launch.stuff when videos on self-publishing portal?
Launch that stuff is something we still have as far as um, we call like a creator portal. Um, some of that I'd say is in development. Around how we're going to do that and make it self-service. So one thing that we're trying to figure out there too is like um, with again, it kind of goes back to priorities, right? Like it's a large undertaking to provide and build a system like that, but we very much want to get that launched so that we're not involved with people wanting to mint things.
Yeah.
So like probably what you'll see in maybe somewhat in the short term or next couple of months is like us probably minting less things weekly as we build out some of these tools so that we can then have a more scalable system that doesn't require our input and makes it fully automated essentially.
Sure.
There's a part B to that question, but I forgot what it was.
Just asking about like videos on self-publishing portal.
Oh yeah, yeah. Same. We go for the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Some
the
of some
only
of
thing
that some of that too is like we're refactoring. Like there's a term with AI now, right? There's just like a you know fantastic capability to refactor what was built, right? So a lot of the code that we have is it's code that we started writing back in 2021 2022. That's really old now, and it wasn't written by robots, so it's not like the most and best efficient code. It's not the most and best efficient like infrastructure or security. So we're kind of going through like a full agentic rebuilding of a lot of these things to make them function better, right? And so along with that too is like it's definitely a ton of work structurally to get AIs in place to fully understand the whole
yeah.
entire system so that we can architect it in a better way, right? So we're moving towards a point where it's like some of these things will get faster to release, but yeah, it's going to get tremendously easier and I think we're getting better, especially Guillermo, right? He's getting really, really good at
Guillermo's crushing it.
yeah, he's absolutely crushing it, right? So there's so many things. We have a lot of legacy stuff, right? So at this point, right, it's like there's not a whole lot of other at least Cardano projects out there that have maybe been around as long as we have. I mean, a handful, but from the complexity of code and like what we're doing, like there's a
Yeah.
lot there. So yeah.
Let's see here. What's the second part of the Ingram deal? I'm not even really sure what that question means. I think they're probably talking about like print books. We did have Token Joker did ask, is the 12 million books have a so he's asking about the 12 million print books that we're working
Got
on.
it. Yeah.
Do they have a corresponding DEA on chain or is the deal for physical books? So I mean the deal right now is for physical books, right? along with that is going through to get digital books along with it,
And
right?
audio. Yeah.
And audio,
Yep.
right? And again, understanding. So we're trying to build like this massive, bookstore, right? And some of those books will be licensed, and some of them will be DEAs. There are publishers out there who just will refuse for digital ownership. Period. Right. And so, our hope is really to get all these books in, and then be able to go back to publishers and give them a choice between DEAs and license, because some of them just won't do it, and some of them, I mean, literally, they are 100% against people owning their digital goods, so they just will never do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that too is like, I I don't know that I would say they'll never do it. I think it's, if we, the thing about the book publishing industry is they really only still care about print books. That's
Yes.
really, they don't care about ebooks, they don't care about audiobooks. They like audiobooks because audiobooks are kind of growing, but at the end of the day, when you really get down to it, what publishers care about is selling printed books, which seems crazy in the year 2026 to care about, selling printed books, but it's like, they own all of this, means of production. They own the forest, they, in different ways, and there's a lot of industry tied around selling physically printed books. So until, from a certain standpoint, from a business model standpoint, until we can show a very, some, and we're working with some large publishers, but until we can show any publisher, hey, we are able to help them in their conquest to sell physical printed books. And along with that, like us having a loyalty system built in where we're using a portion of that to buy tokens and distribute rewards to physical book purchasers, and offer essentially, right, the same catalog that Amazon has for sale. They're just not really going to care. But once we begin doing that for them, then the opportunity opens up to where all of a sudden we're
Mhm.
having a different conversation, right? Because now we're looked at
Agreed.
as a revenue channel that's selling their printed material, and so it'll be viewed differently than just like, oh, here's this super cutting edge you know publishing thing that I don't really understand, and I'm not really sure I want to take a risk to like
Yeah.
really learn or figure out. And what if it, and quite honestly, like a lot of these are giant corporations, and so nobody's really willing to be like, hey, that's badass, and I want
Yeah.
to try and do this and push it through, because it's very much like, hey, I'm just trying to get my next promotion, so I don't want to like push for
Yeah.
anything radical or different or new, because what if it doesn't work out and then I don't get my next raise, right? So then nobody like moves, which is kind of what happens to a lot of these industries, right? They just become stale because nobody wants to do anything to push anything forward. So it's like, okay, then the reframing for us, right, became, then let's go show them value in the things that they, because we know we can do print books really well, right? We know we can do like bulk pages, we know we can do customer reviews, we know we can do all of these very simple, what we would look at and say like, hey, these are very simple sort of technical things to do, like we can do these very easily. And we can sell physical books, make them happy, and then all of a sudden the conversation is like, hey, guess what, by the way, you could do X, Y, and Z if you did this with us, and it would add this type of value or this type of data or analytics, and like,
Yeah.
walk them, baby steps towards understanding what the benefit of what we do is, right?
Yeah, totally. It's the Trojan horse method.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna show them everything that we can do, and then also to be like, or you can click this box and people can own their books.
Yeah.
That's and again, when I say there's certain publishers that are against it, right? Not all publishers, right? And certainly not independent authors. Independent authors have been super cool, and the majority of publishers have been really cool, right? And so again, like me saying that there's a handful of like publishers who are against it, most of the time it's because they had to go talk to a lawyer, and the lawyer's like, I refuse to learn anything new, and we're not
100%.
going to
That
do
happens
it.
a lot. Yep. That happens a whole lot.
It happens a whole lot, man. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, this is where we make our money. We're not going to rock the boat. I don't care about the philosophy or anything, right? So,
Yep.
um, but again, I do think that like, hey, man, like mostly at the speed in which we're building, I've never been more excited in this space to be able to move forward. Like the opportunity is just absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Because the things that we're able to build in like 2 weeks now would have used to take us like 6 months, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
again, shout out to Guillermo and team who have just been like learning new tools and crushing it and allowing us to, control costs and keep growing, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, will consume to earn be rolled out this year?
That's a good question. I think some of the stuff we built recently. Well, I'd say it depends on how our timeline stacks up. I would like to think that we will get that out because of some of the things we've built in the last couple of months from an analytics standpoint allow us to go ahead and do that, right?
Yeah.
And not that all that's dependent on an L2 necessarily, but
No.
some of that is right. As far as like, okay, well, if we have to start paying 10,000 people tokens every 4 hours, that gets pricey. So then it adds
Yeah.
other complication of like how do we kind of like we started, right? How do we do
Yeah.
that in an efficient way from a company perspective? So it's not that we don't want to. It's just or even have some of the capabilities in place to get there. A lot of it just comes down to prioritization, and it's something we definitely want to do because I think it's very like um, uh, it's very sticky, right, from a platform perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but the other side of that is the inventory, right? Like nobody
Yeah.
wants to come and if you can't find the book that you want to read, well, then we don't really need a system to pay and reward you, right? It's cool from a token holder standpoint, maybe to say like, hey, I really want them to do this because
Yeah.
then it makes the token more valuable. It's like, yeah, true, but if we don't have the actual inventory of all the books, well, then who would come and buy books and read them to earn these tokens, right? So it's a
For
bit of
sure.
a chicken and egg scenario where it's like that's why we're kind of back to Ben's point, why we're going through the process of like getting the print books, which will lead towards getting the ebooks and the audiobooks that we're going to get from Ingram too. So getting all those things in place then allows us, which we'll be able to do the token rewards for ebooks, whether they're in ebooks and audiobooks, whether they're DEAs or whether they're licensed, right? However, the
Yeah.
publisher wants to distribute those with us, we still will track progress and
Yeah.
use the consume to earn system. So uh, yeah,
It's also
uh,
just like again, like some of the things where it's like the couple of the bigger deals that we have that might be in like the 50 to 85% category, right? Like if we landed those deals, it just pushes things, right? So it's really hard to say like, oh, we're gonna have this for sure ready to go. Although,
yeah,
again, obviously we all want it. I want it as a reader and as a token holder. So those
yeah,
are things that we want to do. It's just like, again, limited resources and the order in which we do it.
yep.
Um, Another question about token buyback, burn be automated. We'll do those things on our side. We won't tell you guys about them until we do them. Um,
Well, the
uh,
burns kind of it's not really super automated. I mean, it's automated as far as like it happens at every epic,
it's
but
automated in the fact that
yeah,
Guillermo automatically makes himself do it.
yeah.
Um, will when will the stuff app get tuned up? My movies hardly ever work. Go
Oh,
ahead and
interesting.
email us at blanking out on our
Support.
yeah, there we go. Support at book.io or
Yeah, if you have
support at
specific ones that aren't opening, yeah, make sure you
yeah, like we
say
want to know
something.
about it because I haven't been experiencing any of that.
But I will say,
How
as far as tuning them up, like we do have on the roadmap to actually launch like newly branded kind of everything. So
yeah.
it's just
Oh
trying to
man,
shuffle that into everything else. So
yeah. Josh recently built a reader that had like analytics and everything, and it is so awesome, man. This looks so good. I'm super excited about getting a new getting a new reader out there, a new player out there.
yep.
Um, how are the patents going?
They're still as government work goes,
As,
as
as
our
governments do.
they're they're being prosecuted would be I think the proper patent term, worldwide prosecution taking place. Prosecution, not like we're suing somebody, but that's terminology for like going through the process. So, and then actually, back in I think maybe November or December, we actually submitted another really large application that from that will probably derive a lot more individual patents out of too. So, and then recently been talking because we have there's a guy that we have who's like our chief IP officer. We don't talk about him much, but he's a lawyer at a big Silicon Valley firm and is also an investor in the company and does all that for us. So yeah, we have another large filing that we're probably going to do. I don't know, in the next month or two or something, like whenever we like finalize all of it. So like all that stuff's kind of continuing to go in the background, but yeah, more of that's like protective, more defensive, and not we're not filing it to go be patent trolls and shut people down. We want to make sure we don't get stopped doing what we're doing. So
Yeah. And again, like people would be amazed by the calls that we've had with like some massive organizations, right? And sometimes it feels like these like Fortune 100 companies, right? And sometimes it feels like they're asking us, well, how did you do this kind of thing? So it's important for us to state that like, hey, we do have patents on this stuff.
Yep, true that.
All right, so if you have questions, I think that's the end of the ones that Tiki sent me. There's some. If you do have a question, raise your hand. And there are some other questions here that I'll get to in one of these things. Herman asked, could Steph.io one day also support true digital ownership for video games, not just books, music, and video? Would this even?
I think according to Charles Hoskinson, we are.
I would say it is technically feasible. The hardest part about all video game stuff is the gameplay, right? It's not the storage of anything.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked to some game. That's why sort of joking, not joking about Charles because we've talked to him about it.
Yeah,
but it's just it's obviously again gets back to roadmap and it's like, yeah, video games have their whole set of issues, right? Because then you're running emulators if you're doing that, or you're getting like a licensed SDK from somebody to support theirs, and those guys, they don't, Xbox and PlayStation don't play that nice with each other because they're competitors. So
yeah,
why would they want to, right?
yeah. Sorry, I'm looking.
Yeah, you're good.
I think we've kind of gone over everything here.
Yeah.
So unless somebody has a question, don't be shy. It's okay. You can come up and say hello. If you have a question for us, again, Josh and I have been going through actually today some roadmap stuff on everything we have going on. So we'll be as transparent as we possibly can. Anything we missed, Josh, that you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. I mean, I'll give a little recap because we started a nonprofit called North Texas AI and just had our first meeting on Monday and I don't know, I had like maybe close to 100 people there. It was very cool and lots of interesting builders, lots of interesting projects. Like we're definitely participating in that ecosystem. It's obviously influencing everything we're building and doing and making connections with lots of investors, lots of other builders, universities, lots of other enterprise, large business potential partners and stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot going on kind of the business development side that's not necessarily all just related to,
Yeah.
pumping stuff token. Although, at the end of the day, it's like all roads lead back to, to obviously we're big holders. So that's why we got into this thing to begin with. Like we believe in tokenomics and cryptocurrency and being your own bank and decentralized finance and all the things. So, to the extent we experiment with these other things, and yeah, that stuff's going well, and building some interesting relationships, and honestly, having some conversations too with some people, and there's some other things out there that are not direct crossovers to what we're doing, but there's definitely, I think still an increasing awareness that people don't own their licensed media, right? So I think that's going to continue to percolate and not go away, right?
For sure.
Which is great for us. So
yeah, for sure. And again, it's like, when you're sitting in our shoes, things don't happen as fast as you want, but you kind of figure it out and make sure you're surviving so you can get there.
100%. Yep.
We did have a question on like the future plans for Goots in episode 0. I think there was just kind of a question of like, will it be incorporated into L2, like delegation program, etc.
I mean, we talked about, we vaguely talked about that at one point around, who we allowed to be, basically node operators, and there may be some requirement for holding those as a parameter. There's another large kind of enterprise, like national project that we've had some really good meetings about, actually, with several different entities, and could be such that opens up an opportunity from the, because the L2 is sort of multi-layered, right? Like I think I maybe talked about that at one point, but like there's a couple different layers to how we're thinking about the structure of it, and one of those being storage operations, and so some of that might be as a requirement, you have to hold certain things, and or like holding those things get you like better performance rates, or rewards rates or something. So
but I mean, it's like never totally out of mind. We talk about these things, and even when you're launching a print book store, there's things that you can do, which is cool. So
we need like 1,000 people with 100 agents each, and then we'd get things done a lot faster. But unfortunately, the monthly burn for 1,000 people is a lot.
So it's true. It is kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy how fast we are moving. So
yes, we are. Yeah.
And another couple questions. What will happen with the tokens that were reserved for the stake pool?
I don't know that the tokens, as far as the rewards, you will still be able to claim those through the portal, the claim portal, and then I think even if you don't claim them there and you need to, or you miss it, like, please don't miss it, but contact us and we can try to help track it down online.
And if we stop the stake pool to cut emissions, should we expect DEX farming rewards to stop too? We've had that discussion. We haven't come to a final conclusion yet. So we're in that discussion. And it's great to have like a community that like actually listens, isn't it? Like, as far as like, these good questions, man.
They are good.
Really good questions. So we just haven't made a decision yet. When we do, we'll let you guys know. We have any? Oh, we actually have a request here. Hold on. Let's see. We got looks like Jury. Hold on. Make him a speaker. Jury, what's up?
Hi guys.
What's up, man? How are you?
Amazing, but my English is not on some high level. I hope you'll understand me. I just want to share some love. It's crazy moment in crypto. We have crazy bear market in Cardano space. We have, I don't know, every week one big company give up, fail, and don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going, and that's all I want to say.
Appreciate it, man. It's good to hear from you, and I don't think your English is better than mine. So
yeah, definitely better than. Definitely better than yours.
Yeah, there's way less
Croatia,
there's way less cuss words in it, that's for sure. So
And
yeah,
eat shit.
yeah.
exactly.
There was big plan about conference about Rare Evo this year, but my wife is pregnant, so I can't because it's the same week. We have new baby. We have minting. We have big minting. So 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 I
The old
cancel everything.
101,
So
man.
yeah, there was big plan to meet you in person there.
Well, and congratulations on the new baby, man.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
congrats. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
don't worry about Rare
and
Evo. Just worry about that kid. That's awesome, man.
yeah, last year they used our song for official after movie. And I have one question. I have one question because a lot of my guys in my community they ask me every day, and I don't know what to tell them. What's the story about Mark Cuban? Is he still the part of the investor team, and is the Charles Hoskinson still the biggest investor there?
Yes to both of those. Yeah, yeah. Cuban is still an active investor, and I think that yeah, I think Charles is probably still the biggest investor by dollars. Pretty sure it's either him or Ingram. I can't remember. They're very close together. So
Yeah, we'd have to look at the paperwork, but yes,
yeah.
all still part of
That's
it.
that
All still get back to us.
excellent. That's enough from my side because my hands are shaking. It's first time for me that I have some situation like this because I don't have enough confidence how to translate it to be part of this space and talk about project. For me, it's much easier to write.
Yeah, no worries,
Well,
man.
everybody knows who you are. So I mean, you're like a celebrity now. So you got to stop shaking and
Yeah.
own it.
Keep going, guys, and
Uh,
and and good luck. And good luck. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Jared.
much.
Awesome.
Take care, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, cool, man. Good encouragement. It's
Uh,
awesome.
all right, let's see here. We got Paul is requesting. Hold on, adding Paul as speaker.
Cool.
Paul, what's up, man?
Well, how are you?
Great. How
What's
about
up,
yourself?
man?
Good stuff. Good stuff. Firstly, congratulations on the closing the deal. Awesome. That's what it's all about. Keep the cash flow going. Um, I emigrated from Ireland to Malta a couple of years ago, and I started a startup about a year and a half ago, and it's taught me an awful lot about how slow things go. So I
Yeah.
get it. I do get it. It's hard. It's hard and it's slow, but congratulations. I just have one question for you. Um, it probably comes from the last wrap up. Josh, you were talking about, that like, and I'd be interested to see how you can see this in maybe 1 or 2 years' time, that you could feed a book into AI and ask for a more exciting version or a better ending, and it will throw it out to you. I mean, your technology to me, excuse me, your technology to me shows me that like you're the gatekeepers of books. Um, I mean, in what do you see in maybe 3 or 4 years' time when books are skewed completely, or albums, or whatever it is, and yet you can hold the original asset from the original author?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of good stuff there. Great question. I'd say one is like we definitely are looking for ways to not be necessarily gatekeepers by any chance, and like move away from that because we're not. I mean, it's kind of part of the reason is like we don't want any sort of centralized control.
Hmm.
But I think even talking to there's a couple of really large entities we're talking to right now specifically that their concern is basically um, copyright authentication, right? And using the blockchain specifically for that because it is, of course, increasingly, literally every day, much easier to counterfeit or duplicate something. And the only real answer to that is, blockchain verification. So everything else can be faked, but you can't fake that if it's timestamped on a decentralized chain. So about the AI stuff, though, actually, which is kind of interesting that you mentioned that. We launched a product called Galley Forecast that, and I'll put it here into the chat on stuff. Let's see. There we go. So Galley Forecast, basically what it does is it is it does essentially, somewhat of kind of what you were mentioning. You can input a manuscript into it as an author, and it will spin up a swarm of agents to each individually read that book, and from multiple different kind of angles. It does a ton of analysis, and it basically tells you, when people would be likely to stop reading it, where there's inconsistencies from a content standpoint, like how you can adjust those things, how you could market it and position it from an advertising standpoint, like who you should talk to about it. I think a lot of those tools will continue to obviously get better and better. And I very much, which is probably a horrible heresy in the book world, but like I think we definitely will get a New York Times bestseller that's purely like written and constructed by AI at some point, right? So same thing with movies and scripts and other things like that. But like, so what we're kind of looking at is like, how can we use the way that we're the process by which we're injecting things into AI from a book standpoint to be unique and maybe you could say difficult to recreate, but like our kind of moat is like the uniqueness of the way of how we inject the content in to then have that distilled and spit back out. So we're playing with a lot of open source models, like localized ones and air gap stuff and things like that, as well as obviously the bigger players too. But going down the path of a bunch of different kind of agent swarms and how we can use those to help authors and creators. And like we've done some experimentation on the music side. It's not quite there yet to really analyze things as well as the text.
Awesome. Yeah, nice one. Thanks, and keep it going. And shout out to the OG community as well.
Awesome, man.
Heck yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Cheers, dudes.
Good to hear from you.
Yous too.
All right. What else?
Let's see. Doesn't look like we got any more requests here. Let me check this real quick.
We're exactly at an hour.
I missed your last space. How much did you guys go into Galley Forecast?
I think I might have briefly mentioned. I haven't really dove into like a lot of these other kind of periphery products that we're launching yet. I mean, I mention them every once in a while, but I don't.
Yeah.
I probably should have like a space like dedicated, like a walkthrough or something to just say like, hey, this is how this
for sure
functions and what it does, and like we probably should do a better job about that maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it, man. I think we don't have any more questions, so we're gonna bounce for today. Got my headphones in, so we're not gonna play this off. I'm just gonna hit the end button.
All right.
But it is really cool to see everybody. It's like it's cool to see Wizard Tim. Tim still has a plaque in our restroom, so everybody gets to see a Wizard Tim quote every time they use the restroom.
Yep.
It's really honestly like some of the things that Josh and I were sharing to each other in Slack during this was it's really cool to see the same guys here. Definitely shout out to the OGs, man. It's so cool to see everybody still here, still pushing along with us, and this is invigorating, very energizing for me.
Yeah,
so
very much so.
I think we just start doing this more and more and just continue to come hang out. And it's actually kind of a nice thing for us to take a break and not be heads down working for an hour. So
not be talking to agents.
Not be actually
talk to.
Yeah. It's like every once in a while, I just expect one of these guys go like, yeah, that was right for you to push back, and I will keep working.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a great one.
Thanks, guys.